Well, hello everyone, and welcome to what is most definitely the finale of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. For better or for worse, I'm just gonna sit in this chair and play this game until this game ends. Because, oh my god, this case is getting spicy. Spicy finale. We just kinda sorta proved that Emma Skye accidentally murdered Neil Marshall. Yikes. But we also have some proof that Damon Gant tried to cover up and hide away some key evidence. So we're hoping we can take him down for something. That guy, I can just feel it in my bones. He's behind a whole lot of messes. Yeah. I want to bring justice to that smug asshole, you know? So, without further ado, let's get going. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. Yeah, he's planning on resigning anyway. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Why do I feel like this has happened before? Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is this? What is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. What? I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here. She asked me to give you this to you if there was a break in today's trial. A book on evidence law? What kind of sick burn is this? Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Okay. Wow, all those pages just for 2 rules. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. Well, let's see about that. Rules for submitting evidence. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Yeah, well, when Damon Gant is the police department, I'm not so sure about that. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Wait, what? Doesn't Rule 2 kind of break Rule 1? What, so you can just... There was a law that's saying you can supply unregistered evidence as long as it's relevant? Well, I guess that's okay. But by now, I'm pretty sure Phoenix has already registered everything, right? Weird. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now, you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. Phoenix already knows. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. I concur. Judgment Day! Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Real man of class, this one. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but this isn't easy to say. You see, there's some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, why not let the defense call a witness? The prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. The ball has been passed into my court. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this was an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize that it's your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls... Time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Oh boy. I want to. I want to. But no. No.
Take that!
Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. Yes. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, Please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto! What's with the grim face? Okay. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal? Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry. I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. Bring it on. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. I do believe that's true. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, it had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Okay. Let's press everything first. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant, Lana Skye, also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first. So Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden, and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. You laugh about that, really? That's not funny. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. How would you know to go there? Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor? Yes, apparently he hit his head when he was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence. That can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Okay. I think this is what I need to deny, to contradict. How can I prove that Gant had nothing to do with the forgery? I think it's a knife, actually. Where could this knife had come from? Wait, wasn't it said to be Joe Dark's knife? Damn. Yeah, it could be reason that Lana pulled the knife from his pocket and then... Wait, no, of course... Oh, wait, actually, of course, if it really was Joe Dark's knife, then he would have had it taken from him during questioning, right? So, because Lana wasn't there questioning, that would mean that either Gant or Neil had it. Oh, wait, okay, let's think about this a bit critically here. Oh, wait. Oh, is it this obvious? Yeah, Gant stuffed half of the evidence list in his own desk. Of course he forged the evidence, right? Right? Is that it? I think that's it. I think this is it. Yeah. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. That's the list Emma Skye drew her picture on. This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here is a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see, what is it now? A jar fragment and a list? I can't help but notice that Phoenix kept the piece of cloth with Emma's handprint on it a secret. He didn't bring it up. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when these pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Okay. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. All right, Udgy. In return, though. I know. That place, right? Wait, what? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? What? Okay. Huh. Alright, let's press everything. I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You won't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped... Mr. Wright, what are you saying? Phoenix Wright is a cow tipper. How dare he? Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Raito's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. There. Never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery... I'm not through speaking yet, Raito. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right? The chief is talking about a possibility. So long as you can't rule that out, your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Come now, Raito. Think about it. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent? Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye. Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Ah, that's right. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Ho 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 ho! Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Yeah. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Gee, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little? Ooh, that's good. By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right, you don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? In his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? I guess I have to do this. True, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I meant. Very well, then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? It has to be Lana, right? It has to be. Because they were partners beforehand. And Chief Gant, one of his first actions was to summon Lana by his side and transfer her, most likely to keep her under his thumb. By making all the trouble for Emma go away, Gant would have really helped Lana out, and by coercing Lana, he'd help himself. That's my logic.
Take that!
Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye, the defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all of this? He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. You mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. Goddamn Judge. I hope we learn more about the Judge in future games. He's funny. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Yes, I think I worked this out really early in this case, too. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana. She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof that all amounts to nothing. This all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Ooh. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. Huh? This is an affront to the highest-ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier-to-understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. Alright then, let's see what Mr. Wright's got. It better be good. Show us this evidence that the chief ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. I know exactly what it is. The ID card record. Chief Gant entered that evidence room with Goodman. It has to be this. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime! Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. Gee, thanks. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. We actually broke his poise. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't happen to have been with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him? In days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. The day of prosecutor's ceremony. The King of Prosecutors ceremony, yeah. This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. The proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. The Cane of Prosecutor ceremony, correct? It has to be that, right? Or maybe Goodman's lost item report can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. Right? I think that's it. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Yes, and he would have needed access to the evidence room, right? Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait. The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, then Gant's ID card would have been found with the body. It would have been found on his body, yes! No! Whoa, shit! What the hell just happened to him? Chief Gant, you didn't... The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office's parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body out of the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. What? Wait, what? The Keenan Prosecutor's Trophy. Maybe? Maybe Gant awarded this to Edgeworth on purpose, specifically so that he could get the car to move to a specific place? I'm not sure. I think it's the King of Prosecutors Trophy. I want to say that's my best shot, at least. Oh. Gant ordered Edgeworth to visit Gant's office. Yeah, Gant ordered Edgeworth to take the screwdriver back to Edgeworth's office. So that's definitely makes me think that Gant definitely targeted Edgeworth specifically. Okay. Let's try... Wait. Phoenix just talked about a useless piece of evidence that he thought was just taking up space. So that would be this. It has to be this, right? This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? Well, what does that have to do with this case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted to keep it here on the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There was only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. Order! What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Objection!
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away. Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body? No. No, because, yeah, if I did have concrete proof, it would be an open and closed case, but... No, I don't have any proof. I certainly don't. Well, I don't have any penalties warning. No penalty warnings flashing, so let's just go with I have no proof yet. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. Humph. See, Udgy. In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Udgy, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. What? Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? You bet! She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls forth Lana Skye.
Take that!
The defendant? Miss Lana Skye? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in Hold on! Huh? Oh! Oh! I thought it was like Emma or Lana or whatever, but he's back? Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Is he seriously blackmailing her in front of the entire court? Of course, you never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he used something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. Ha ha ha. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. Yes, please. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Yes, please. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said? But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Hey, Emma! Are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I've said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved? Relieved? Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. She did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside to force herself to do anything and everything that the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. What? Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No. I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Boy, howdy. I'm tempted to call this right here, but nope. We're going all in, baby. This is it, the finale. I don't care if this video's like 2 or 3 hours long. I'm doing it. It ends right now. I swear to God. I'm hyped. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with the Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Okay, here we go. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to his blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dart convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana... If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Oh boy. How many years, exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that'd be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good, coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why there's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. What happened to that camera that was recording in the room when you said that, huh? And the guard who was standing posted there who heard you say the words? I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana, So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene.
Hold it!
You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken Prosecutor Award knife was stuck in the victim's body. Wait, what? What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle? That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. Well, just to protect me. So when you found a scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted inside the wound, then moved the body. How the hell? You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the butt, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of others. Why did you plant the knife? But why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well, let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Miss Skye fabricated the knife. Hold up, let me ask the other question. Yeah, and why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It's where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body. Pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar? You mean... Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Yeah, this doesn't explain why, Marshall wrote the blood, right? Apparently, the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there's more to it than that. Must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Hold up. Let's ask about breaking the knife tip and planting it in the body. Surely the autopsy would show that, right? Wait. Oh, whoops, I've seen this before. Okay, what about this? According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be about having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. Okay, I think we need to change her testimony back to the pot, and then we'll contradict that. I think that's what we need to do. But I'm not entirely sure what with. Okay, the pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Just for completionism's sake, let's testify press against this. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it, period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying. She did so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Okay. Okay. Okay, I need to contradict this statement specifically. Those pieces of the jar that shattered in the events threatened my plan. Well... if I point out that Emma was written on them, that would only prove her point, right? Hold on now. Okay, I'm very confused. Let's press this once more. Piece of the jar, you mean... yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you look at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during the struggle. Okay. Okay. Let's look at this bit by bit here. Well... maybe we could point out that it wouldn't have threatened the plan because, Emma saw it anyway and saw the jar falling. Wait, no. The jar is right there in the photo next to the pointy dagger of the statue, right? I am not entirely sure what to do here. This is very vague. Okay, I've made it this far with a full HP bar. I think I can take a few guesses. Damn it. Oh, okay, I had it right. The second try, then. Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction? In my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Oh, I am such a dunce. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Yeah, it'd be out of his reach on the floor, too. Order, order. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're in as in the dark as we are about the truth toward which you're headed. We're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Okay. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Okay. Interesting. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? But what about the one piece with the line on it? That wasn't wiped away. I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay, this one's a short one, so let's press everything too. So the jar was already broken. It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case. Hey! But not as feeble as the judge's judgment. Ooh! You are an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But you didn't. Look, how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes. I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up. After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. Okay. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up the fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this right away. I think I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. Oh. But you didn't get them all. The final fragment was found in Chief Gant's safe. And it was unmarked.
Objection!
Miss Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped away the blood off them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
Objection!
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that? Gee. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that... There's no way a name could have could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he... The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. Oh. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. Jesus Christ, was Damon Gant playing like 4D chess or something? But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. If it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword. You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? The book? What? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. It's in the book somewhere. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright, please present this picture. Okay. I mean... Oh. Oh, we aren't reading it now, we're examining it. Can we open up the book, please? Hello? Oh! What's this? Wait. Oh no, that's just like the front cover. What are we doing here? Hello? Can I open this, please? Oh. Oh, sweet Jesus. Hey, there's a picture here. Oh my. That's quite bloody. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this. Oh! I see something good for us. Hello. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Whoa. Mr. Wright, that piece cut out from his vest, could that be... the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whosoever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. Yeah, they're yours, Emma. They're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Breathe, man. Okay. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. And moreover, the fact that the vest was cut proves that someone got there before her. Okay, hello, Gant. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What, now you want to make me out as a bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense.
Objection!
I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. That has to be the most savage line in the franchise. Oh my god. Holy shit. on my throat. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone. So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? He knows about the second piece of evidence I pulled from that safe. That has to be what he's talking about. The cut piece of cloth. You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked Albert Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt? Is this true, Mr. Wright? Gant wants us to show the court the piece of cloth with Emma's handprint on it. If we do that, that would be exactly what he wants. Exactly what Gant wants. If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. If you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? Better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Well, our book on bird law... Oh, sweet Jesus, a fourth tab. Ugh. Well, our book on bird law kind of says unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. All I know is that showing the evidence would be playing right into Gant's hands, and I feel like that would doom us, so if it can win this case, to hell with the consequences, I say. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Shut up! Shut up. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Yeah, Gant kind of just revealed himself. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, then when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dar convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? Yeah. What else could he blackmail Lana with? If he disposed of that evidence at any time, then Lana could just go free. I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make a police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
Objection!
But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too? Oh, ho, ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant. That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then, before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, Victor is mine. I want to keep hiding it. I feel like that'll mess him up. Wait. I'm talking about then and now. There's one major difference between the two. Weren't you waiting for that difference? So, just figured out my plan. Okay, Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Okay. Okay, I guess I was mistaken.
Take that!
Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. At last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. You're as slow on the uptick as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence, yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. Okay. Emma Skye.
Take that!
Emma? Emma Skye? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, ho, 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 ho. You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Skye, you knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter, cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth. What could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Hold up, what? That's a right hand. Is that a reference to how Gant is so orange, I guess? Wait, why isn't there any blood on the piece of cloth? Why isn't there any blood on the piece of cloth with the handprint on it? Look at Neil's blood splatter. That goes all the way down on his vest, and it covers where the cut piece of cloth should be. And yet there's no blood whatsoever on the cut out piece of cloth. Okay.
Take that!
And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Sky took. Please take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes. His shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth... Wait, there's no blood on it. Oh my god, I'm right. Oh! Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. Oh my god. Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute all your allegations. What do you mean, you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Order. What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. At this point in time, the defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, the piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? You purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth. It was not illegal. I admit I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. Do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved in presenting evidence. No, Udgy, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let's settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct is not in violation of the law, then do so now. Gladly, Your Honor.
Take that!
This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying I did not have approval from the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh, yes. No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. Oh my god, this is too good! Oh my god! It's one thing to prove a murderer guilty, but to make that murderer admit to it accidentally. Oh, that's good. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. There's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. No. Well, he went mad. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room, but then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how? How could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day, you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I sincerely hope that's not foreshadowing something in a future game. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Edgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Edgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. What a creep. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky, I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Aww. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing, Baka. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. So stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky. Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. She may be slapped with jail time and a heavy fine, but at least she won't be put to death. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I've felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. You said it. How long is this video running now? I swear we're over the 2-hour mark. Jesus Christ. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. Woo! Yeah! Celebration! That is all. This court is adjourned. Oh boy. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have. Oh, is Emma upset that Lana didn't talk to her? You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Well, that's because she wants to talk to you in person, you dingus. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. God damn it, Gumshoe. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run around while on duty. To top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I am getting some serious deja vu. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right, I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now, I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma! Yeah! My heart has melted. Oh, that's not healthy. I should see a doctor, but it feels good. So my heart's melted, so that's good. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why wants me make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a bright future. At least that's what I felt, watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright. Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. I like to imagine he was nervously poking around from around like a corner or whatever. I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Whoop! Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows, given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. Oh God. Nope. Heart can't take this. You were working together with Mr. Wright. Well, there it is. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Was he spacing out? Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Something we had to work together to find. It had to have just come up today, right? Oh, the evidence list! Yeah. Miles had one half, we found the other, and together we brought it together to bring about the key evidence that turned the tide. It has to be the evidence list, right?
Take that!
That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth. If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, You can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can just let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, Wright? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I've had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective! I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, haha. You see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, do you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys, let's go.
Objection!
Oh my. Well, I guess that does it for case 5 then. Cool. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back into the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Aww. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you anymore, it'll be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Ah, poor Gumshoe. The man deserved so much better. Finally, I can sit back and relax a little. Man, that was hype. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make a detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Oh my god. I want that to happen in a sequel, please. Please. Nope. Oh, thank God. Well, yeah, I really like this case, man. I think it did very well to be the longest case. Like, the length was warranted. Nothing felt like padding, you know? What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Starr managed to sneak this into me. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Yeah, the pacing felt very organic. Well, yeah, looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way lunch or something. The top lawyer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom lawyer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around here. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Yeah. Gant made for a fun villain. With all the power he felt like, with all the power he had to throw around, he kind of felt like another go at Red White, you know? I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing there something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another show to get to. I'd better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. Whoa, the chair. That's a rare sight. Wow. Man, would it kill that judge to show Wright a little respect? Jesus. I kind of just want to give him an old, a really super old guy voice. Oh! Ah, nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon train's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. Aw, Maya, I missed you. Don't go, your place is so cool. Look at that Japanifornia-ass place. That was a surprise? Holy shit. Okay. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth? I brought you your tea? What's going on? A letter left on Edgeworth's desk? Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Oh. Also, I just realized why you have to open that from the back. It's because the Japanese read right to left. So they probably reversed the texture on it for Americans. I see. Ah, well, wasn't that just cute? So, gentlemen, guys... Guys, we finished the first game! It happened! We're done with Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney! We can move on to the second game in the trilogy! Oh my gosh! What a momentous occasion! Yeah! All things considered, you can count me in as a fan of this series. Oh, this was good. I'm pretty sure I already said my mind on Ace Attorney during the credits of the 4th case before I knew there was a 5th case, but yeah, I really like this game. I really like this series and what it has to offer. Goodness me. Well, I'm not really sure what I can say other than that I really love the aspect of unraveling the mystery right along with Phoenix and sort of being the one to put things together and have the answers left up to you. The constant string of aha moments is... it's like, I kind of feel like a lab rat hooked on whatever chemical it is that makes them feel like addicted to feeling good, you know? Feel like a dog being trained. Whatever. Wow, okay. So, gentlemen, this has been Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. And we're done. Next up, guys, we're heading into Justice for All. Oh boy. Yeah. Now, I do understand that because Case 5 there was added after the fact, I shouldn't expect to see any reference to it, even in this first trilogy. Maybe once I get around to like the 4th game in the series, maybe then, who knows. But, yeah. Well, this has been Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I thank you for watching, and hopefully I will catch you next time when we seek justice for all. Until then, please take care.